Let's work on the last lab of this 8-week class, scale and load balance your architecture. So once again, you'll complete the lab in AWS Academy, take screenshots as we complete each task, and submit them here at Mount SAC. I've already opened up the lab from the Academy and clicked Start Lab. It tends to take a couple of minutes before everything's up and running, and then I've clicked on the AWS button to get the console open over here. So we're ready to get started. So using the Elastic Load Balancer and auto scaling is one of the more powerful features of cloud computing. You know, in the bad old days, we would put a server online and hope that that would be enough. Like that server would be enough for all the traffic that we would ever get. And if you're working in an enterprise and you know you have 2,000 employees and those are the only people that will ever use your service, you can plan for that. But when you're out in the world, out in the web, let's say you're selling a custom sweater during a Pokemon tournament and somebody posted on TikTok and suddenly everybody wants to go buy your custom sweater. Well, you don't want to lose thousands of sales because your web server can't keep up. So we can use the Elastic Load Balancer and auto scaling in order to meet demand for the user. And these are really the two different features that we want to focus on here. First, we're going to automatically distribute traffic across the instances. So if you have two instances, the first request goes to one, the next request goes to the other. And then auto scaling will make sure that our application is available and it will grow the number of EC2 instances that we have as demand is increasing to maintain performance, but then it also reduces capacity, like takes machines offline in order to keep you from spending too much money. So we're also going to do something here. We're going to create a machine image. That way we can clone our EC2 instance essentially. So again, we're in the student account, so you don't have access to everything, but we do have a significant infrastructure scenario set up. And you might recognize some of these things from the prior labs. Here's the relational database system that we set up. There's the web server that we set up. It's in these VPCs here. So we've been building lab by lab, if you haven't noticed that. And now we're going to add here in the middle our load balancer and our auto scaling group. So make sure that you've started the lab. Give it a few minutes. Click on the AWS link. And then to get credit for this, it's nice to be able to submit here in the Amazon AWS Academy, but you'll also need your screenshots as you complete each task along the way in order to submit that for Mount SAC credit. All right, number one, let's create an AMI for auto scaling. Remember, that is the Amazon machine image. So let's select EC2, EC1, no, EC2. Quick, can you tell me what that means off the top of your head? I hope so. If you didn't immediately get that, pause the video, go to your notes and look it up, and then come back and resume. So we've got EC2 in the left navigation pane. Choose instances. Well, that's an easy one to find. And then we're going to wait until the status checks for web server 1 display 2 of 2 checks passed. So for me, it's over here off to the right a little bit. There's web server 1 and there's 2 of 2. And this works out because it looks like I gave it a few minutes from the time I hit start until I got the video ready to record. So you may have to just wait. It won't work until it's finished the tests and the checks. So we're going to select that web server, and in the Actions menu, choose Image and Templates, Actions menu, Image and Templates, and we're going to create image. So the image name is going to be Web Server AMI, Web Server Image. And for the description, let's go ahead and get all of this text copied and pasted. Lab AMI for web server. That sounds good. Let's create the image. I'll leave all the rest as defaults and just click create. All right, it says currently creating. So this is a good place for me to take my first screenshot. I'll make sure that I get the lab and student name in the screenshot. That makes it easy when I'm going through and grading. All right, task 2. Now we've got our AMI, so now let's go get our load balancer. And in the left navigation pane, choose target groups. So you may not have clicked on that before, so you're just going to have to go through and look until we find our target groups, which was all the way down here under load balancing. So target groups, we're going to create a target group. And we're going to choose a target type instances. That's already selected for us. Choose next. It looks like I need to scroll down. Okay, next. I left everything at default. It says target group name. I need to read all the directions. Target group name is lab group. So that might have failed the whole lab. And then you have to go back and figure out what to do, or stop the lab and start over again. That's fine. In this case, it doesn't let me go without a name. And then I'm going to select Lab VPC from the VPC drop-down menu. So keep scrolling. There's a lot of things to scroll. I'm sure that's not the first time you've passed by a step in the instructions. And then we can choose next to register the targets. Here we go. Register targets. Let's see, you do not have any web application instances yet. So we will skip this step and then create the target group. Okay, create target group. In the left navigation pane, choose load balancers. So here's our load balancer. And there's different types of load balancers. We're going to use the application load balancer. Okay, cool. So when we create our load balancer, let's choose our application load balancer. And you get a little more info here. You can see, oh, there we go. There's a nice picture. It's going to take us over to Lambda. Choose an application load balancer when you need a flexible feature set for your applications. Okay. And we'll choose create. At some point you probably want to look at this comparison of load balancers over here. And if you're not sure what layer 7 is, it might be a good time to go back and review some of that. Essential networking. It should also be in the videos for this course. So under application load balancer, we're going to choose create. Now this is nice. There's a lot of good information here. So we've got our application load balancer. We need to give it a name. So we'll call this one Lab Elastic Load Balance. Okay. Then we're going to scroll down to the network mapping section. Here we go, network mapping. And for the VPC, choose VPC, Lab VPC. Now make sure you know, what does the VPC stand for again? You could pause for a second and go double check your knowledge and then come back. So we need to choose which subnets the load balancer is going to use. So we're going to choose the first displayed availability zone. So let's see, the first displayed availability zone. Here's availability zones, and let's choose US East 1A. And then we're going to select the public subnet 1. So I'll click on this and choose public subnet 1. And then we're going to choose the second one and choose public subnet 2. I have no errors, so the instructions are exact and precise and may be difficult to understand. So the first one was this one, and we chose public subnet 1, as it says over here. And then we chose public subnet 2. When we clicked this box, we got the second availability zone, and then chose public subnet 2. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to go to the security groups, and it looks like we're going to choose web security group, and we're going to remove the default. So we'll remove the default and choose the web security group. That looks correct. And then for the listener, HTTP AD row, we're going to set the default action to forward to lab group. So here's the listener HTTP AD. It's going to forward to target group. The target group is the lab group. Then we'll scroll to the bottom and choose Create Load Balancer. A lot of options over there. Here's our summary. You can double check. It's probably better to just double check what you're doing and make sure that you're checking all the right boxes rather than deleting it and starting over. Worst case, it could cost you some money. At the minimum, it will cost you time. So that's the end of task 2. I'll take my screenshot to submit later and move on to 3. Let's create a launch template and an auto-scaling group. All right, that sounds good. So we'll choose launch templates in the left navigation pane. So again, this is a long menu for EC2, and you might just have to scroll through until you see that launch template somewhere. Do you already see it? We'll keep going. We'll go all the way through here. Oh, wait, there it was. We went right past it. It was near the top. We're going to configure the launch template settings and create it. So let's take a look here. New launch template. Well, we need to configure our settings. So we need to create a launch template. So here's our launch template. And then we're going to lab config. Under auto scaling. Are we skipping all that? Create launch template name. We've got that here, launch template name. Under auto scaling guidance, provide guidance. Here we go, provide guidance. In the application and OS images, choose my AMIs. Okay, so we'll go my AMIs. And there's our web server AMI right there. Already selected. Choose web server AMI. The instance type, we'll choose T2.micro. So keep scrolling down. T2 micro, 1 CPU, 1 gigabyte of RAM. The key pair, this is important. We'll need to choose our Voc key. That's the key that's created with the lab. And then firewall, security groups. We're going to need some security groups for sure. Select existing security group. Choose the web security group. Here we go. The DB security group? No, the web security group. We created the DB security group in the last video. And then we need to expand the advanced details. Advanced details or advanced network configuration? It's advanced details, I guess all the way down here. There we go. And let's see, scroll down to detailed CloudWatch monitoring. So you just got to go through line by line. You'll get used to this the more you do it. And for detailed CloudWatch monitoring, we will select enable. Detailed CloudWatch monitoring, enable. So sometimes the instructions, like that makes it look like a checkbox, but this is clearly a drop-down. So we're going to enable that and then create our launch template. I'll leave everything else. It didn't tell me in the instructions, so I'll go ahead and create the template. Okay. In the success dialog, choose lab config. This is my success dialog. It looks like they want me to select this right here. the launch template. And then we're going to go to the Actions menu and create an auto-scaling group. So Actions, create auto-scaling group. And we'll call it, you guessed it, Lab Auto-Scaling Group. And then for the launch template, it says Lab Config. So we've confirmed that. And now we'll choose Next. There's a lot of steps on this, right? This is something you'll be doing for your clients fairly regularly. So you might want to make a copy of all these lab notes just so you can go back and refer to them in the future. So we've got our auto-scaling group, our launch template, we chose Next. So let's configure step 2, instance launch options. So we've got the VPC, we're going to choose the Lab VPC. The Lab VPC, availability zones and subnets. I need to choose private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. So private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. And it doesn't tell me to change anything here, so I'll choose Next. If we went through every single setting, this video would be much longer than it's going to be. Let's just get the lab working first, and then we'll get into the details in another video or even another class. So let's get step 3. So we're here in step 3, and attach to an existing load balancer. Load balancing, attach to an existing load balancer. We'll select from our load balancers the lab group. So there we go. It says lab group. And then we're going to select enable group metrics. So let's scroll down. Where is enable group metrics? Keep checking here. That's in the additional settings. So did you go skip anything like I do? Let's scroll down some more. Application, recovery, health checks, health check. Well, I don't see the additional settings there. Let me double check I'm in the right place. So I selected lab group, and there's not a settings pane here, right? Nope. Looks like there's been a slight change to the workflow. Turn on elastic load balancing health check. Nope, we want enable group metrics. So that's not it. So let's just go next. Maybe we'll find that later. And step 4. So I know I'm in step 4 because it says here, step 4. We're going to group size and scaling. So under group size, we're going to select, let's see, desired capacity. We want to have 2. And the minimum capacity, we want to have 2. That's here, 2. And the maximum, we want to have 6. This is always one of the more fun labs to do at the end of a class like this when you see this sort of really happening and working. So I'm kind of excited we get to do this together. All right, so we'll get between at least 2 instances and as many as 6. All right, so under scaling policies, we're going to choose target tracking scaling policy. Target tracking scaling policy. We'll change it to lab scaling policy. Lab scaling policy. Average, target value 60. Okay. And then next. So this is our CPU. When the processor gets 60%, start making a new one here. And it doesn't tell me to configure anything else, so I'll leave all these at default and choose next. Now we're on step 5. Notifications. Send a notification when an event takes place. Oh, no, we're just going to use the default settings, so we'll click next. Now we're in step 6. Step 6. Choose add tag. Okay. Add tag, and the name is name. The key is name, and the value is lab instance. All right, choose next. Configure the details in step 6. No, this is step 7. This said step 6, add tags. This says step 6, review. It's actually step 7, review. Make sure we got all these correct. There's only one thing we couldn't find. We'll just cross our fingers and hope for the best. Your auto-scaling group will initially show an instance count of 0. And it does. The new instance will be launched. So let's go ahead and take a screenshot right here. That's our third screenshot for this lab. And now let's verify that everything's working. So we need to go over to the EC2 and go to instances here. And you should see 2 new instances named lab instance. Well, I don't see that yet, so let's refresh. And it looks like it took a minute for them to run, and they're still initializing. See if I can give you a little more room here. So the 2 lab instance machines came up. They're T2 micros, but they're still initializing, so that's fine. They were created with auto-scaling. If I can refresh this again, they're still working. So we're going to choose target groups on the left. Do you remember where that is? We just keep scrolling down and then select the lab group. Here we are, the lab group. And 2 target instances named lab instance should be listed in the target group. So there's our lab group. Here's our targets, and once I refresh, there's our 2 instances right here. So we never went to the instances panel and said launch instance. This is happening because of the rules that we established. All right, so we wait till the status of both are healthy. The status of both are healthy over here. So we can move on to number 38. Now we'll select load balancers on the left. And we'll select the lab load balancer. And in the details, we need to copy the DNS name. So under details, we need to copy the DNS name. And that's down here. So I'll click copy. And we'll need to open a new browser tab and paste it in. So let me open this window up. Okay, yes, it's not secure. That's fine. We'll continue. And it looks so far so good. Paste the DNS name you copied and press enter. The application should appear in your browser. It does. And the load balancer received the request. It went to US East 1. So I guess we could refresh. 1A, 1B, 1B, 1A, 1B. See how it's switching between, as we send it load, it's switching. The load balancer is giving traffic to the different EC2 instances that were launched. Okay, well that looks pretty good. I'm going to get my screenshot of this window, make sure that I include the lab ELB URL in that. And let's test auto-scaling. So we created an auto-scaling group with at least 2 instances. So now let's go to CloudWatch. Oh, we might not get CloudWatch. I don't think we turned that on. Might have to go back and start the lab all over again. Oh no! So let's look at all alarms. It looks like it just says alarms over here. All alarms. There we go. And follow these steps only if you do not see alarms in 60 seconds. Okay? So do we need to wait 60 seconds? This is an alarm, isn't it? CPU utilization, 60 for 3 data points within 3 minutes, action enabled. All right, so I don't think we need to do any of this. So we'll choose the OK alarm, which has alarm high in its name. So this says OK, and the alarm has alarm high in its name. It'll be a little easier on your screen to look because your browser is probably going to be wider. So I'll click on that. So you will now tell the application to perform calculations that should raise the CPU level. Okay. So return to the browser tab with the web application. Got it? Choose the load test right over here. We'll click load test. This will cause the application to generate high loads. The browser page will automatically refresh so that all instances in the auto-scaling group will generate load. Do not close this tab. Okay, that sounds good. Now let's go to CloudWatch console and back to all alarms, I guess. Maybe we need to go over to alarm high. It will increase in CPU percentage. So let's take a look here. We'll have to refresh. So the refresh is not in the top right. It's now in the top left. And it will indicate the increasing CPU. And it might take 3 minutes. So I don't see the utilization yet. It's automatically going for us. All right. Wait until the alarm high enters in alarm state. Looks like it's still under high CPU every 5 seconds, so I'll leave that. Well, we'll come back to CloudWatch. Let's go over to EC2 and go look at the instances. Just in case our CloudWatch is not configured properly, let's go look and see if we're getting all the instances to show. And right now I have 2 lab instances, so I think what we need to do is wait 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, we should start to get more instances. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video so you don't have to wait here for 3 minutes. So we just had to be a little more patient. I had to wait a few minutes before I saw the CPU start to rise here. And then I figured that should be enough time for us to have some EC2 instances. So let's go get some EC2 instances and take a look. Oh, it says I have 6 running instances right now. So let's take a look. There's a bunch of lab instances. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means 2 more have come online. Since I noticed that, it looks like this one just fired up. It's still initializing. And the load balance is still running. So it should actually get all the way to 6 instances over here. So you can see the auto scaling is already responding. And I suppose that if we just stop that, if we stop the load, they might start to go away. We could test that real quick. Now we're not running the load balance anymore. We're just loading the page. Let's see if that CPU load goes down. I don't know what that load.php file was doing. So it may take a few minutes for this to bring itself down. But let's go ahead and get our screenshot before this disappears on me, because we got to turn in task 5 here. And then task 6, let's terminate web server 1. Ooh, very exciting. So this was the instance used to create the AMI. So let's go web server 1, terminate. Terminate. Delete the instance. All right, choose terminate. Delete. All right, it is successfully terminated. It's shutting down. And with that gone, looks like that's my last task. I just got to take a picture here, a screenshot. Don't use your phone, use the screenshot, showing the lab instances but no web server 1. All right, so we'll hit submit. I'll end the lab, and I'll see you.